All right, ready, Bodie? So with our handsome Mr. B, we're going to do a little bit with some loose leash walking, and then I want to rock a little bit with our place behavior and working some more of that stay foundation while including some of those distractions. And then since Sam is here, we'll do a little bit with her as maybe a nice distraction person coming and meandering and being something for him to maybe seem intrigued by, but we'll see if he can still rock his stay position through that harder setup. What a smart man. Yes. I know. So that was crazy, the heat wave we kind of got. So obviously I know a lot of folks kind of know about being careful out in the hot weather with their dogs. But just because we find it to be very appealing to finally have some nice weather, just be careful with heat exhaustion and also the temperature of the flooring when it comes to walking outside. So like hard top, be it concrete or even asphalt. Because even on like a 70-degree day that's nice and sunny, feels cool to us, you still want to check the pavement. And if you can't keep your hand or your foot on it for about 3 to 5 seconds comfortably, then it is more than likely too warm for your dog. Also, since dogs have to cool off by panting, they cannot sweat. They will and potentially overheat in very warm temperatures. Even if it is a 75-degree day, it could be too much for your babe. So we're just going to do a few little find-its as we're blabbing. So Bodie, here. What a good boy. He's like, hold up, the bed sounds more comfortable. So close. Yes, we're going to do the stays in a moment. He says, I was just anticipating, he says. So if when you're out and about and you're needing to get your babe out to do something, I would still pick early morning to evening hours. And then also if you could work them on grass, that is better than, for example, the hard tops, especially if we're worried about the summer weather coming our way. Also, since, again, I mentioned earlier, oh my gosh, chewing. Since they don't sweat to cool off, they do sweat from their pads, but it's not in the sense for temperature regulation. If you notice a puppy has wet paws and they're making paw prints and they haven't been in water or didn't get a tub, then it's more than likely a stress signal. So dogs, when they get nervous, can also have sweaty pads, and then that's where you start to see paw prints coming out. So, but it's not a way to cool off. They have to cool off by panting to expend some of that heat from their body. So we might go into working a bit with our bed behavior, work a bit with that stay. So we might rock our lovely down. And then we're going to tell him to stay. And then we're going to just warm up first with some practice with his duration in between his snack intervals. And then what I want to do is a little bit with the distractions of the environment. And then what I'll try is a little bit maybe while Sam in a few moments might come be our distraction person, we'll see if Mr. B can practice holding still while she might be our visual distraction human to work those big boy skills. So while he's rocking this stay, I'm going to go and I just kind of practice moving some items around for starters. He's been doing a very good job with this. We have all the wilds. They came out for a potty break, but they decided they'd rather come stay out and join the party the whole time. But they, again, will come back out again. We keep doing musical chairs with the babes for the filming. He's been doing such a good job. I do have the AC set too, but obviously while they're wrestling, they do get warm and they have to pant to expend some of that heat. So you'll see Mr. B is kind of panting up a little bit because he was doing a little bit of wrestles with his BFF, Mr. T. Nice. Good job, sir. But he's been doing pretty well throughout the weeks practicing. He sometimes has a little bit of a harder time if I go out of range and he can't quite see me as I go around him. So sometimes if I'm adding this as an element, I want to make sure that I do it a little bit faster so it seems a little bit more attainable for him. So I might, again, give him 2 little bonus bits for working that harder step. We'll see if we can add some wiggles. Crinkly noises can be distracting. Smart boy. Yes. So I'm going to give him a little break from his stay, and then we will practice with Sam in just a second. She's on deck ready. So we're going to give him a few little moments to take a couple extra bonus bits because he's doing such a nice job with his place and his stay. And now I'm going to go ahead and say, all done, and Mr. B can get up and wiggle. So if, let's say, for example, he's been rocking a few stays, I know you guys have seen that I do love to give him a little pause from being stationary while adding some movement behaviors, which tend to be find it, or it could be loose leash walking. or meandering. So Bodie, here. You can also throw in a couple little recall moments too if you want to work a bit with that name recognition or coming when called. Bodie, here. He's like slowly making my way. Good job. So now we're going to go back into working our bed behavior. One of his favorites, ready down. Nice. I'm going to tell him to stay. So let's say I know you guys had mentioned you had company come over and he started off in his little corralled section. That was awesome because it's a good way to prevent the jumping up on people if he gets a little excited or a little overwhelmed. And then that way he doesn't get to rehearse the pummeling sweetly as people first come in. So even though your babe may in the beginning come off a bit hot and heavy and you don't really want that greeting, remember that even if it took him 10, 20, 30 minutes to finally calm down, that was 10 to 20, 30 minutes of him doing that skill. So starting him off where he can be successful physically and mentally can be much more beneficial than to hope he does well and picks the right skill when he doesn't know what to do. So let's say we'll have Sam come over. You'll just kind of come meander, hang out. So let's say I have my puppy working this behavior and I'm going to have a friend or family member come visit. I want my puppy to only feel that, let's say, working a place behavior is not one more thing that's going to add more frustration or fear. So if, let's say, this was really challenging for Mr. B and he was getting overwhelmed, being forced to be stationary as someone comes in the home, this is something I would avoid with a nervous or overwhelmed pup. Chewing is optional. Whew, good job. He says, I almost got it. Hold up. Panting and swallowing snacks is challenging. All better? So if, let's say, your dog was nervous and you said you have to go to your place, you have to stay, and here comes the spooky creature into the home, even though it could be grandma and she's really nice. The problem with that is then being forced to be stationary was the precursor to here came the bad. And then your babe might feel trapped and behavior could actually go get bigger than smaller. So a place with a stay behavior should really only be used if your puppy is showing signs that they're feeling safe while working, being stationary and stuck. So maybe Sam, if you're out and about, maybe do a little bit of meandering, just walk around, see how he does. So if, let's say, I'm adding a new element like a distraction person, I want to be near my puppy to help him be successful by not making me and Sam now wandering around. It could be too challenging. So now I'm going to be here as my helpful person to let my puppy know that, hey, when you're stuck here, and even though she's doing this other thing, what you're doing is wonderful. I'm going to feed him throughout this stay position. Oh, it fell out of your face. Hold on. We have to assist. Oh my goodness, and that fell through the bed. Here you go, all better. Having lots of hiccups with our snacks being slimy and rolling away. So if, let's say, Mr. B was doing amazing with somebody in the room with you, don't forget to feed all the glimmers of success. He doesn't have to be staring at me, giving me a direct eye contact this whole time. I really don't even mind if he acknowledges the thing or the person, because maybe then watching them and seeing them, but then holding your position can also be just as comfortable or just as beneficial for him. So right here, I lowered the criteria from my end by being closer and upping the, oh my gosh, chew them, upping the level of food given within a time frame. So my rate of reinforcement's gone up while difficulty has also increased. So now he's getting a higher value paycheck for the harder work. He's doing a very nice job. He says, I'm trying so hard. He's being such a smart man. So let's say, for example, again, Sam's doing a great job being my lovely distraction person. Maybe see if you can have, like, you just pass him by, or maybe you approach and you disengage, you approach and we might like, hey, how are you? So because this could be also moments where maybe you're talking to your neighbor. And I know you mentioned you had your neighbors come into the home and then you guys were kind of hanging out and then he went and lied down near the neighbor and just kind of wanted some lovies. Oh my goodness, that's embarrassing. And so chewing is just, it's silly. But this has been really nice because then now from his perspective, new people didn't equal I had to go jump on them or I got too nervous. This is really pretty. What a smart man. He's like, I got this, guys. But remember, if we're trying to generalize, let's say, a place behavior with novelty, just make sure you're also gauging your puppy's comfort range. So like right now, he's looking comfortable, but if, let's say, he was having a hard time, like let's say he's like, oh, my friend, if that was harder for him, we may have a bigger space between him and the new friend. So it doesn't mean he can't get excited to say hi to someone, But if, let's say, every time company comes over, it involves jumping all over them, even though he's not meaning to be a wild man, he might just think jumping, because of being practiced, becomes part of how we meet and greet. And it just gets confusing to him. So this is really pretty, because now as Sam is meandering around, he's just being reinforced for not going and checking her out. But let's say if we're doing such a nice job, we might end our place behavior and let him go say hello. So as long as the puppy keeps all four on the floor, if that's something you're working on, this is where everybody's household will have different rules. Some folks could care less if their dogs are all over them. Others do not want the dog anywhere near themselves or family members in the sense of jumping. So, but remember, you can do whatever makes you guys feel comfortable. But I know you do have grandkids, so sometimes having him keep all four is beneficial for everybody down the road. So right here, I'm going to feed him for his last little stay rep. I'm going to say, all done. And we're going to get Mr. B to come up. Good job. And I might say in a moment, so let's say he's attentive to me versus my friend. He's like, make it rain snacks. We'll do a little find it. So if, for example, company, no offense to Sam, turns out to be kind of old hat and it's more fun to do the skills with you, that's a very good sign that your dog is feeling comfortable, under threshold, and is still able to learn. If there was no connection with you or the skills you've been practicing and he was out the window, then he wouldn't really be working a skill for down the road. He'd be either overwhelmed or, for example, just being flooded with the situation. He's like, back to my bed. That's his favorite. He's like, look at me being brilliant. What a smart man. He's too cute. It is a good spot. So ready? We might, again, bring him back out. So we might tell Mr. B, so if you guys want to have a slogan to go visit, so like I mentioned with Mr. L, if, for example, oh my gosh, chew them, sir. If you're working on proper hellos and you're going to have a slogan that means go say hi, you do want to make sure that the slogan doesn't become sort of a trigger to let's go get way excited and then get more overwhelmed. So if you find having a word like go visit or go say hi equals your puppy starts to go bananas, don't have a pre-warning little cursor to we're starting that excitement. You could, for example, just approach, and if he's being soft, he gets the hellos. If he's a little excited, we just move away and start again. So we're going to say, Bodie, want to go say hi? He's like, oh, I guess so. So then he could get some lovies with all four on the floor. He's like, you taste also delicious. So that was very nice. And then I want him to come get a paycheck for maybe doing a softer hello. You could, I know, slimy, good luck. Everybody's very slimy today, especially Mr. T, which is acceptable because his St. Bernard is coming out hardcore. So I'm pretty sure you have like St. Bernard slime across the walls here and there. Ready? Bodie, here. So I know we mentioned a little earlier with Mr. L, if you were going to have food for your company, I'd make sure that they're feeding doing find its versus direct if your puppy is too eager or nervous. If he's feeling, he's like, oh my goodness, sir. Oh goodness, there it is. He says much better. Really embarrassing when you have to hawk it up, but he says good night. If, though, he decides to choose to go relax versus going and pummeling Sam sweetly, then these would be moments that you'd want to capture this response to and feed for the good so it happens again. So remember, what you're creating is a habit that then becomes what he expects to do versus not knowing what to do. So this doesn't mean, again, place should be used in a situation where he's nervous, but when he's feeling comfortable and relaxed and confident, this would be a great option for him to do this instead of doing that for a few moments. What a smart man. And of course, you guys get to see his super cute little caboose, and I get the cuter end, so I'm sorry. This always ends up happening. Oh my gosh, eat them slowly. He says, I think I got it this time. It was so sad. So he's like, chewing is so dumb. It's overrated, really. So I might go, all done. He's like, oh my gosh, are you sure? So even though I didn't technically put him in his stay, I just want him to realize he can be finished for now. Do you want to go say hi again? Let's go say hi. He's like, okay. What a smart man. So, but if your hellos were not like this, remember that if there's barking or some distance increasing behavior, ready, bed, then what could be going on is your puppy's only way to say, I'm not really feeling this yet. So don't feel that you have to force an interaction, especially if your dog is not always that comfortable with brand new people instantly or at all. So this concept that your dog should be okay with every single inanimate object, dog, animal, person, child is just not really that realistic. This doesn't mean I want your dog to go eat your neighbor's cat or do other things that we don't find, beneficial, but it doesn't mean that your dog has to be intimate with everything. So definitely gauge the dynamic based off of what your babe is giving you for information and go from there. Did a very good job. So, but maybe we'll give Mr. B a little breather from this exercise. He's like, Sam, why would you leave me? But he did a really nice job with his engagement, and thanks again for being my guinea pig. Two, I know you guys had mentioned you're going to do Sam's structured play on Fridays, which are now extended hours from 8 to 5. Though, if you're a previous student and you prefer the shorter day, you can still do a shorter day. Just let us know what your time frame may need to be. Also, I know I'm taking a pause from the doggy day school after this next round is finished. So I know he's in the next one, and so is Mr. T. And then I have a few other friends that are new to the program. So he will be rocking another 4 weeks after this one, but then I take a pause for July and August, but Sam still has hers now that she's going to be running on Mondays. So her doggy day school will be available, same thing with videos. She's going to have it on her YouTube channel, which will all be given to the students so you can all view them as needed. So, but oh, Mr. Hanson, we lost one. Here we go. We'll get that back to you. So if you guys are not sure what your next steps might be after this round is over, reach out. I know I'm going to be seeing him for WrestleMania on Tuesdays, which is my structured play. And then I know he's going to be joining this next round for day school. So, but we'll give Mr. B a little breather. He did such a good job with these place behaviors in his stay, especially with distractions and some nice little hellos. So what a brilliant boy.